So we were having this like some pretty serious discussion in our household last night, right? About just life stuff with Sky and, you know, teenagers.
Yeah.
And,
oh, yeah. I know.
And so it was very funny because we got to this like part where Brooke was trying to explain something
like
to
how
us.
Chickens are made.
She's gonna kill us.
How the rooster sits on the egg, and that's how
they get roosters guys sit on the. That's right. Yeah, that's hilarious. No, but you were popping your knuckles a while ago, and I was thinking about. He's like Brooke's trying to explain something, and Sky and I both start into popping our knuckles, and I mean, it just didn't stop. Like we popped our knuckles. I went onto my wrists, was popping my elbows, like knees back, like. We just kept cracking everything, and Brooke is just like, guys, I'm like trying to seriously share something with you guys right now.
I'm like, trying to relieve the air bubbles in my skeleton.
Do you want me to stiffen up and die? that's what's gonna happen here,
right?
So yeah, it was just very funny because we were like, you just watch her deflate as she's like talking because she's just like, could you guys just stop? And we're like, no, it feels so good.
But it's one of those things where. Like having ADHD, like I have to do something like a stim to like pay attention.
Yep, I'm in that same boat, so I totally get it.
It's like I feel bad. Like I will, like people will be talking to me, and I know it's seen as rude, but like I will like be fidgeting or on my phone, but I'm actively listening. And like when I'm on the phone with somebody, I have to walk around.
Yeah.
Because if I'm stagnant, I will like put it on speaker, pull up Facebook, you know, things like that. Where I'm
the same way. If I'm on the phone with somebody, like I either have to be like busy doing something that is mindless to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like so that I can listen to them, but my body is busy.
Yeah.
So I either have to be doing something like that on like my computer or whatever that I don't really have to think about, or I'm the same way. I have to be like up, walking around, like straightening up, doing something else that doesn't take a whole lot of like mind power to accomplish. But
exactly.
Yeah. So I got a would you rather question for you this morning.
We love would you rathers.
So this one, I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter since you went a little bit heavier last time. yours got a little bit darker. But I'm going to keep this one light, and that way we can jump into the cryptid because I'm ready to get to that. I'm excited for it. The would you rather for today is this. Would you rather... okay, let me preface this, right? Because peek behind the curtain for everybody, like we talk about all the time. We record several episodes in a row when we get together, and so we're recording 3 today. But I'm just coming off of basically a whole week of being sick, and so if you hear stuffiness in my voice, if I cough, sniff, all that kind of stuff, you'll have to forgive me. That this one kind of fits in, which is great because I had it in my list of like would you rathers anyways. But they kind of made me think of this one. Would you rather constantly feel like your nose is running? But it won't go away even if you blow it, right? So you blow your nose, still feels like it's running. Or always feel like you have a hair in your mouth, but you can never fish it out.
Dude, those are terrible. Especially with somebody with sensory issues.
Yeah.
That is
I hate both of those things.
Like, I would almost take the constantly feel like my nose is running.
Really?
Because even in my brain, I could just stick tissues up my nose, and that kind of... cancels it out a little bit. But like the hair, like the hair equates to like a popcorn kernel that you get stuck in your, like I will focus on that and I will be done forever if that is a constant feeling in my mouth because I have to find it.
I debated this one back and forth, and I think that I'm on the same page as you to a degree. So things that are in your mouth, right? Like the popcorn kernel thing, it drives me crazy for a while. I'll work at it, but I can get to a point where I ignore it and it goes away, except for a hair in your mouth.
Yeah.
Because they move, right? It's never like, it's not like the thing that gets wedged in your teeth. Because, like, I have one spot between, like, 2 teeth of mine that, like, if I eat beef jerky or something that's, like, you know, sinuous like that, it gets stuck in that one spot. And I can feel it for the first little bit, but my tooth gets used to it. Yeah. If I don't get it out, you know what I'm saying? Usually I'm pretty, like... crazy about I will go find floss, a toothpick, something to get it out, but a hair in your mouth, it moves and you find it in different spots and stuff, whereas with the running nose thing, I feel like almost like a little kid, you could eventually get to the point where you're just kind of like oh well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a snotty nose and everybody else can deal with it type of thing or whatever. But I don't know. Like that was one that I was like, that was probably one of the closest to 50-50 I've been on a would you rather thing that I've read so far. That was a difficult one for me to answer.
Because I mean, my nose gets like that, like especially during allergy season. So
yes,
it's something I'm used to. But again, I feel like I could at least trick my brain into, well, I have tissues in my nose, like it'll catch whatever is running down.
Yeah. Yeah, just plug your nose.
Yeah,
you get some of those earplugs. They're like the ones that form into
your nose. Yeah,
clog them up.
You do that, and then you do the little swimmer's nose thing where it pinches your nose, so water doesn't get up there.
I am a mouth breather from now on.
This is my life.
So, as we jump into today's episode, just want to remind you guys we are up to the first of the month, which means it's our Cryptid of the month today.
Yes, sir.
Josh will be taking us through that, and so we are excited to dive in there. And then I'll probably close us out with a little short story that's humorous
question mark
to share with you guys and stuff, and then we'll get into it. So let's kick this thing off.
All right. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me? No? Well, I'm Josh.
I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yes.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua. Josh.
It's funny how the intro never gets a hold of me.
I know, same. Like I've had both the boys say that we have like the greatest intro of any podcast.
Really?
Which
that's a huge compliment.
It is.
I like ninjas too. Every time theirs comes on, you know, it's the that scream and stuff. I like those kinds of things too. But
so, good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
So we're gonna go local with this cryptid.
Oh, like Ohio local.
Yeah, we're gonna go Ohio local with this cryptid.
Nice.
I was debating, and kind of like the last like 3 weeks, I've kind of been kicking around like cryptids. Like I was like, oh well, like, you know, do I want to do like an obscure cryptid? Do I want to do a more well-known cryptid? Do I want to go in the middle? And I was like, you know what? I do know of one local cryptid that we haven't talked about, and we might have mentioned before.
Is this Bigfoot since he's been in the area?
Oh, no, that would be skunk ape. Skunk ape would be the Ohio equivalent of, I'm pretty sure it's skunk ape, or I'm trying to think, because I think
for our listeners out there, if you're not aware, there's been like a crazy uptick recently in our area. So like the Wadsworth, Rittman, like Barberton areas of Ohio, there's been this like weird uptick of sightings of Bigfoot up here, like apparently.
Yeah, it's I've wanted to like dive into it, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna let it simmer for a little bit and then maybe look into it.
If I see one more report, we're going hunting.
Yes. I will go create the report.
Josh and I in like full camo ghillie suits and everything, like out hiding in the woods around Wadsworth. We would definitely get shot.
So we've kind of talked about this area before. So, you know, we've done Loveland, we've done southwestern Ohio.
Yep.
I was thinking a little bit more, like, when you think of Ohio, what are some features of Ohio that you think of?
Corn.
Okay, corn. Yeah.
No, I like whenever I would hear about Ohio in the past, like before we moved up here and stuff, it's always there's Cincinnati and then there's Cleveland and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, the Football Hall of Fame in Canton.
World's largest picnic basket, world's largest horseshoe crab.
Was never aware of any of those things until we started doing our research on it. World's largest gavel in Columbus. So there's several of these types of things that we know about now, but like those are kind of I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, some of those things are like the biggest ones.
So one of those is actually close to where we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
We're going to go all the way up to Lake Erie.
Okay.
water's cold, the weather's weird. You get lake effect snow, you get all the big storms that come off the Great Lakes. And apparently there's a local legend that says that there's something huge, serpentine, and uninvited that's been cruising around the lake for a century.
Let's go.
I need you to understand some important things right away, so let's get some facts. If a lake is big enough to have a monster in it, that lake has earned that monster. So you have like Loch Ness, you have Nessie in the loch, which is essentially like a river, or not a river, a lake.
Right.
Loch, lake. So Lake Erie is not just a lake, it's a mood. Like, because, the Great Lakes have this stigma, like, of terrible weather. Yeah. Depressing, polluted, fire.
You name it.
But, everything with the Great Lake, the changing weather is a big mood with the Great Lake. Lake Superior, you have all the shipping wrecks with the channels that come in from Canada and things like that,
right.
How the shipping lanes and everything. So the wind kind of looks like it has beef with its ancestors. Like some of the winds, I know we had that one windstorm in February.
Yeah.
Where the lake was down in spots like around Toledo by like 25 to 50 feet.
Yes.
It was down. So like there are weird weather patterns. So like
it's crazy up here. Yeah.
It's one of those things.
And we're in that lake effect area.
Yeah, we're like right on that teetering,
too,
like secondary snow belt, things like that.
Right.
So of course somebody looked at it and said, yeah, there's a giant water beast in there.
Of course.
Why not? Fair, right?
Yeah.
So we go to what has been called the Lake Erie Monster.
Nice.
Or what it's affectionately known as Bessie.
Bessie?
Yeah, so Bessie is the Lake Erie Monster.
How do we come up with Bessie? Like,
I don't
just
know.
They wanted something close to Nessie, and that was...
I think so.
Okay.
So whether
Bessie.
it's either the friendliest name given to...
It's also what my grandfather called his shotgun, so...
or like every other cow that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's either the friendliest name given to a nightmare or the creepiest name ever given to a family pet that can drag a fishing boat underneath the water.
Yeah.
So today in our Cryptid of the Month, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Lake Erie Monster, sighting stories and theories, and why the giant lake serpent continues to survive in public imagination like it pays rent.
Nice.
So here's the scene. So Lake Erie is one of the Great Lakes. Unlike the ocean, it has an extra layer of menace like we've kind of talked about because of the changing wind patterns, things like that, lake effect snow. So the ocean...
Can I beg a question real quick? What constitutes a lake versus a sea versus an ocean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I've always wondered this question, because I think it has to do with land area that it covers.
Okay,
but I'm not 100% sure.
So a lake, by definition, is a large inland standing body of water, generally deeper than a pond, and often characterized by thermal stratification, which is layered temperatures.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
It is distinct from its surrounding land, forms in a basin, and does not have to be connected to the ocean.
Right.
Key indicators include deep areas where sunlight cannot reach the bottom, and a lack of strong, constant currents.
Yeah. So
interesting.
So that fits all of the Great Lakes with the glacial movements and them settling and tearing out that world.
I was just kind of curious about that because that's like when we talk about like the Great Lakes. I mean, obviously they're called Great Lakes because they're basically seas.
They're inland seas, essentially. What some people would, but there's no salinity in them, and I think technically. Is it Lake Huron?
Are they not salty at all?
I don't think there's...
I mean, like, as far as, like, compared to an ocean, you're not going to be, like...
It's not... I don't think the salinity is that high. The concentration of salinity is that high. I'm trying to remember geography. I think Superior is the one up...
It's, like, northeast, right?
Yeah. I think that's the one that connects to... the ocean. Like, there's channels and everything that can be shipped in through. And then all of the Great Lakes do connect.
Yeah.
So, which actually Lake Michigan is the only U.S. Great Lake because it is the only thing that is surrounded entirely by the U.S. So it is the only U.S. Great Lake. Everything else is bordered by Canada.
Interesting.
So like we've said, the ocean is scary. The ocean is allowed to be weird because it's deep.
Yeah.
We can't see the bottom at all. There's freaky creatures and things like that. It gets a free pass. A freshwater lake in the middle of the Midwest in Canada shouldn't be holding monster auditions.
Yeah, probably not.
But here we are. So the Lake Erie Monster is usually described, and this is bizarre. So hang on for this ride.
Okay.
So it's usually described as a long serpentine creature. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, sure.
Sometimes 30 to 40 feet long, decently sized.
Okay.
With a dark body and a weird reptilian or dog-like head, depending on who's telling the story.
Okay. I can kind of see the transition between those though. Like if you think of Falkor from Never-Ending Story.
That's kind of where my mind goes, is like kind of like a Falkor-esque with like a slightly reptilian, canine, elongated snout, things like that.
Yeah.
So
that's what we typically see with like Nessie and stuff too from the Loch Ness Monster is that head shape.
Which is like more like a plesiosaurus like kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but this doesn't have any. I can't remember if there's anything we can kind of might get into it if there's like the fins or anything. But this is more.
Or anything like
this
that.
is more snake-like.
Yeah. Giant snake.
So, this is all basically cryptid code for I saw a shape in the water, panicked, and now I'm committed to the bit for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So it's not an insult. It's how folklore gets made.
Yep.
So Bessie has been part of the Great Lakes legend for generations, and with plenty of people chalk up the sightings to fish, waves, debris, bad visibility, the lack of corrective lenses, things like that. I think we've talked about that before. And technology that hasn't caught up with the time. So, and with a lake that large, that cold, it's full of mystery, and it makes sense that people would start telling tales about what lies beneath it, because the human mind always wants to make up something even if it's not there.
Yep.
So, because once humans can't see the bottom, our brain, like I said, immediately starts filling the blanks with an ancient predator. And honestly, that's not the worst survival instinct that we've ever had. Yeah. So the history of Bessie goes back a long way. Some versions of the story trace the legend back to reports to the late 1700s to the late 1800s.
Okay.
So it's been around for a while. So it's not like, it popped up early and then it hasn't been.
Yeah, old Bessie's got some history to her.
Yeah. So, with one commonly cited early sighting appeared in 1817. So, this means the thing has been in circulation longer than a lot of countries have had decent plumbing. So, that alone gives the legend some weight, because if a story sticks around for that long, it means that it's hit a sweet spot. It's not like, just a pop-up cryptid and then it's gone. So, it's in that spot where maybe something happened and now this is part of our cultural zeitgeist. So, a lot of lake monster lore works like that. You get one strange sighting, then another, then a newspaper report, then somebody repeats it at a tavern, and then somebody else swears they saw it by the shore, and then suddenly you've got a local legend with more longevity than half of any politician's lifespan.
Yeah. Yep.
So Lake Erie was perfect for that kind of story. Shipping activity, fog, rough water, changing weather, big fish, limited visibility.
Yep.
That monster story, churning ability.
Size of the lake, depth, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Got all the different things that it needs to house it.
And I mean, there are some larger fish in there. I think at some point, probably like alligator gar, things like that, like big pike, things like that. So there are bigger fish that have been documented in Lake Erie. So if a creature wanted a place where it could be seen once every few decades and then vanish back into folklore, this is a pretty good spot. So here's some sightings that we have. So one of the most famous reports came from 1896, dyslexic, near Crystal Beach, where multiple witnesses reported they saw a large creature in the water. Descriptions from the sighting, from that sighting varied, which is very on brand with cryptids.
Yeah.
I saw this. Well, I saw this, and things like that. So one person says serpent, the other says a dog-like with a dog-like head. Somebody else says a long tail. Somebody else probably said, nope, it gets on a train. Like, so you kind of have
red glowing eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sense of immediate dread, things like that. It flew up in the air and it was all like dragon-like. I don't know.
It scratched the top of my car.
It lifted the roof off of my house. So, and that's, you know, why I love the eyewitness reports of the cryptid, because they're just similar enough to make it be like, there could be, but you have those bookends of like completely legit and completely off the wall, bizarre and everything like that. So the Crystal Beach sighting is often repeated because it had multiple witnesses and a long observation time, where it makes it more memorable than the average. I think they said it was like people observed this for like 45 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a prolonged sighting, not like a popped up and then gone. So that's how you know the experience was real to them, because even if the actual description of the creature is kind of up for debate. So, you know, like I said, it's not like I saw it for half a second, then it disappeared. There are also later sightings throughout the 20th century and into more modern times, with people continuing to claim they saw a long, strange, moving shape in the water. So if I'm on a lake and I see a 30-foot creature in broad daylight, I'm not going to stay around a long enough time.
That was like part of my question is, you said 45 minutes of a sighting of this thing, and were these people, they were on the lake?
Yes, I think they were on the beach.
Okay, so they're on the shore.
Or close to shore if they were out in the water.
But you're still like, you don't know if this thing's capable of coming on land or whatever. Yeah, I'd be freaked out too.
So I'm not gonna go and get better angles. Like I always say, I'm white, but I'm not that white.
You're right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's one of those things where I'm not trying to be part of the Bessie extended universe at that point.
Yep.
So, but that's exactly what happens. Somebody sees something, survives the experience, and then spends the rest of their life trying to explain it to an audience that ranges from deeply fascinated to actively mocking, and that's the monster's lifestyle.
Yeah.
So why does the story stick? So why does Bessie endure? So because lake monsters are the perfect mix of identity, uncertainty, and enough plausibility to keep people interesting. So if you told me there was a giant monster in the ocean, I'd say that's terrifying.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But the ocean's already full of nightmares. So if you told me there's a monster in freshwater lake in the Great Lakes region, suddenly I'm more interested, because it feels personal. You know, we're from this area, so we're kind of tied to it innately in that sense.
What I was gonna say too, I looked it up because I was curious after we talked about it a second ago, that the largest fish in Lake Erie is the lake sturgeon, which is capable of growing 7 to 10 feet long and weighing over 300 pounds. So this is like, that's a big fish, but that's also not a fish that would eat a human.
Right.
And like that's the biggest thing in the lake in a sense. So
that we know of.
Well, right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, now you start thinking about like, if there was a predator that was the size of what Bessie is claimed to have been, that's this 30-foot long serpentine monster that has the availability of just feeding on these giant sturgeons and stuff like that.
So
that
like
could potentially
theoretically the food source would be there.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're the top predator in that environment, and like sturgeon, because it's sturgeon, muskie, lake trout, channel catfish, like there's nothing in Lake Erie that is like what we consider as human beings to be like these like predators in a sense. Like, these fish eat other fish, but they're not like, you know, they're not hunters in the sense that we think of it. And so it's like, when you start thinking, okay, you've basically got this giant lake stocked with all of these really big fish that are essentially food for anything that's bigger than them. It starts becoming kind of plausible that it's like, okay, even if it was just a big snake that was capable of living in like cold weather and stuff like that it's been up there feeding for years and years and growing and growing. I mean, that, you know, I'm just saying it's plausible.
I mean, it's one of those things, you know, the trope, there's always a bigger fish.
Yep.
And if you let, a lot of fish will grow to their habitat.
Yes.
So they will only eat to what they're enclosed in. And if you have that's why people lean so hard with like the megalodon and things like that, because the ocean is so vast, because the ocean is so huge.
Yep.
The growth potential is unlimited, so to speak.
Right.
That's why you get blue whales. That's why you get, whale sharks, things like that can grow 40 feet plus long, or the blue whale, which is 100 feet long.
Right.
You have that potential of gigantic growth.
Yeah.
So, not saying one way or the other, it could just be a giant sturgeon. It's one of those things where
it could be any number of things, but there's some plausibility to
exactly.
Okay. There could be something that big that's living down there and feeding off of all these things that we kind of consider passive fish in a sense.
And this kind of draws back to my irrational fear, because let's be honest, if a kid near Lake Erie and an adult says, don't worry about what's in the water, that's the fastest way possible for me to worry about something in the water. Because I always had that irrational feel if you were in a pool that was very cloudy, that there was like sharks in there, because I think that was like after I saw Jaws for the first time, and you like dive in the water, there's like a great white shark just chilling in the pool. Like, it doesn't make sense, but kid brain, it's like, no,
I used to think that way too, man. There were like times, so we had a swimming pool in our yard when I was like in high school and stuff, and I remember like when we first put it in, like the first few times that I would go out, as a kid, you do the things where you're like, okay, how long can I hold my breath? So I'm gonna go down to the deep end, push myself to the bottom of the ladder, and stay down there as long as I can. And there were times where I was out there like by myself in the pool, and I would swim down deep and like be like holding my breath or something, and you hear a sound or something in the water, and you're like
the ladder like clanks against
get
the
me
side.
Out of here. You like walk on water as you like fly out of the pool and stuff like that. Yeah, it's so funny because it's crystal clear water. There's like no way there could be anything around me, and I'm freaking out.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the theories. So let's get practical for a second and talk about like what Bessie could actually be. So the most common skeptical explanations are pretty straightforward, like we already talked about. It could be a very, very large sturgeon. It could be waves or floating debris, seen at weird angles. It could be a log, a shadow, a line of birds, some combination of lake conditions that make your brain kind of do improv.
Yeah.
And that's reasonable. Lakes can play tricks on you. The light reflects weird. Distance lies, like that whole perception thing. Especially if you're on a flat area with nothing but water around you, it's hard to judge distance.
Even when it's not flat, man. It's like, like I've spent a lot of time at the beach growing up, and there's a certain thing in the human mind that just kind of tricks you into seeing things in water.
Oh yeah.
Because like, there's been innumerable times that I've been sitting on the coast of North Carolina, which is not a typical place to see like large sharks. You see sand sharks and stuff like that swimming out there all the time, but like nothing that attacks humans. And there's been a bunch of times that I've been sitting out and looking at the ocean, and I'm like, that's a shark. Like that's a great white shark that's like 15 foot long. Yeah. And those things, like, they don't even like they're there at times.
It's possible, but it's not
very
probable.
Unlikely.
Well, it's like, if you're out at the ocean, I know when we go down to like Fort Walton Beach and things like that, like the aircraft, like there's a military, an Air Force base right there.
Yeah.
You see like this little thing on the horizon. I was like, oh, it's a little plane. No, it's actually like an AC-130, like flying in, like, because it's so far away, you can't judge that distance. It looks so small. Or even, boats. You'll be like, oh, that's a cool little sailboat. And then it turns and it's this gigantic, like, frigate or something like that. So it doesn't really kill the story. It actually kind of helps the story because of the things we've already talked about. Because every sighting had a neat answer, Bessie wouldn't have retired decades ago. Instead, the uncertainty keeps the legend alive. Yeah. Maybe one sighting was actually a sturgeon. Maybe another was debris. Maybe another one was somebody's imagination after a long day near the shoreline. Or maybe, just maybe, Lake Erie has always had something weird and nobody has agreed to the details.
Yeah.
So this is kind of in one of those sweet spot cryptids because of the plausibility, and it could be, attributing a cryptid designation to a large fish. where, you know, the uncertainty, the abnormal growth, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, like, they've reported that they know of these sturgeon and stuff that have grown up to 10 feet long because they're bottom feeders in Lake Erie and stuff, and so people aren't catching them on a regular basis and stuff. And so if you know that something like that exists, then there's a potential that a few of them over time have gotten to the 15-foot mark.
Right.
And so if they've grown that large and stuff like that, I mean, if you're looking out in the water and you see a fish that large swimming at the top of the water, your mind starts thinking that's a massive thing that's moving out there and stuff. And so, it's easy to see how people could easily get to the point of thinking there's some kind of giant serpentine
and even
thing.
like when people were sailing across the ocean and thinking they're seeing kraken and these giant tentacles and things, like oarfish can give that appearance because they swim vertically,
right? And
it looks like something is coming straight out of the water. It is, but it's just attributed to something else. So Bessie is also part of a bigger tradition of lake monster stories across the Great Lakes and beyond. Like we've mentioned before, we always have those things that might be living beneath the surface. You have Nessie in Scotland, and then you have Champ in Lake Champlain, which is a very similar thing to Bessie. Right. All to the smaller local
Champlain. That's the other one. I was going through the lakes in my mind earlier and had all of them but one, and that was the one I couldn't think of.
The Great Lakes? That's not a Great Lake.
Champlain's not?
No.
Oh, that's why. What's the fifth one then?
You have
like let me go through the ones that I know. So Superior, Erie, Michigan, Ontario, and then Huron is the other one. Okay, that's why. I was Huron was the one I was missing.
Yeah. So
you said Champlain, and I was like, that's it. Like, did you know? I'm just gonna go into my list of things that I've discovered over the course of our podcast.
So because our brain fills in those empty spots. So what makes Bessie stand out is the Great Lakes setting. There's something especially cool about a monster legend tied to one of the largest freshwater systems on Earth. It gives the story scale. It gives it geography, and it gives it a place in America and Canada folklore that feeds both local and a widespread narrative.
Yeah.
It's the appeal. Bessie isn't just a monster. Bessie is the monster for the lake. The creature that belongs to the water, the weather, the shoreline, the stories, and the people who swear they saw something move below the surface.
Yep. I was gonna say that's like one of the cool things though, is that in my opinion, and I kind of like this stuff, like that's why we keep doing the cryptids, right? Is like every area or every like subsect of people kind of needs their like cryptid creature that it's like anything that's weird that goes on, we're going to kind of ascribe it to this thing. And so it makes sense that, like, you know, you've got like you're in the middle of nowhere in Loveland, right? And so we get the frogman, and everybody's got a Bigfoot, skunk ape, everybody's got a Mothman. Like there's all these different kinds of like cryptid creatures that we see in these different areas. And if you notice, like none of these cryptid creatures are like in New York City.
Right.
They're in places where there's like less people, more rural areas, all this kind of stuff. The only ones that happen in like populated areas are usually like alien sightings of some kind.
Right, yeah.
But then, like, you think about, like, you know, all the oceans have tons of myths, like you said. The kraken, these giant squids,
giant sea serpents,
megalodons, all this kind of stuff, because the ocean is incredibly vast and deep. Right. And so, of course, we're going to think of all that kind of stuff out there. Everywhere in the world has, you know, like snowy mountains have yetis and all this kind of stuff. It just makes sense that for like something as big as the Great Lakes, that each one of them has to have these like tales of you know, like, you know, Bessie. Like I love this. I love the fact that Lake Erie has its own kind of, here's our monster.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, and we can kind of wrap this up. And we have, it's so tied to like Northeast Ohio, you know, Cleveland, things like that. Yeah. Like the the
Lake Erie Monsters.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lake Erie Monsters.
Yep.
When the melt was around, they had a sandwich called the Lake Erie Monster. Yep. So it's kind of ingrained in Northeast Ohio culture, but again, it lends the credence that there could be something because, like I said, the exponential growth of deep water, things like that.
Yep.
All of the Great Lakes are connected, so it could move throughout, and there could be other things like that.
Yeah, who knows? There may be other ones that, like, there are cryptids that we haven't studied yet that are in the other lakes. They're known by different names, but maybe if the descriptions are close, it might be Bessie traveling around. You know?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the other thing too. Like we get with Bigfoot.
Yeah,
you know, all of the Yeti, the Sasquatch, the skunk ape.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of things
could be the same type of creatures.
Exactly. Or, different areas. Wookiees or Ewoks. Like, they all could be variants of the same thing or different subspecies of one species.
Ewoks are just little people versions of Wookiees.
Right, exactly.
Right. So,
I mean, it makes total sense.
Or they're the normal size ones and the Wookiees are giants.
There you go.
They're the Ewok Nephilim.
I was about to say the Nephilim of the Ewok.
We're really going down the rabbit trail.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, so it's one of those things where I thought it was really cool. I mean, we haven't really done any Ohio-centered stories for a while since we kind of got off the Ohio's Largest and the Mistake on the Lake and the Balloon Fest and all that kind of stuff. So we haven't really gotten back to Ohio. So I figured that this one would be a good one to kind of kick off April when, spring is starting to get into full thing, the lake's starting to thaw out, and things like that. So
no, that's really good. And for all of our Northeast Ohio people, because we have a lot of people that listen from up here, that if you're listening from up here and you have maybe some info or a story about Bessie to some degree, maybe you've got like a grandpa that's told you like some horror story of when he was out on the boat and got attacked by the giant,
because I think
Erie Monster.
I think all the sightings, like the most recent one was like in the 90s. So I mean, it's been fairly recent. Where
200 plus years that we've been hearing about the stories of this thing. So if you got one, share it with us. We'd love for you to send that in. We'll read it here on the podcast.
Yes, we will.
If you send it to us. So
yes, we will.
We'd love to hear that. But that's very cool. I appreciate you sharing the story of Bessie. I still love the name. That's very funny to me. They're like, what are we going to call this thing? Well, there's the Loch Ness Monster, which is Nessie.
So Bessie? Well, I had a cow named Bessie. It kind of looks like a cow. No, it doesn't, Herm.
Yeah. No, its head does. It's kind of cow-like. Yeah. That's
cow
funny.
Adjacent.
So I have a funny story to tell you. I kind of tease this. It's funny and also interesting, but I'm gonna kind of preface it with this. You have siblings, right?
Yeah.
You have what? A brother and a sister?
Yes.
And I have a sister. When it comes to siblings, did you ever have any like infighting between you and your siblings?
Not necessarily, because they were, I'm not going to say significantly older, but they were older than I was. Like my sister was in high school when I was like in second grade. So, I mean, there was enough of an age gap.
Oh, yeah. That's
so
pretty big.
Not necessarily much infighting.
Well, my sister and I did.
Do tell.
So my sister and I are 7 years apart. And I will admit that there was quite a bit of abuse as older brother to younger sister in our relationship.
As one does.
But we fought quite a bit and stuff. There was quite a bit of tension between us for a long time. I think that part of it, and I'll admit my at least part of my recognition as I got older, was that I believe that my hostility towards my sister stemmed from the fact that for the first 7 years of my life, I was the only child, not just in my family, but in my extended family.
Okay.
And so, like on the farm growing up, right, I was the only child on the entire Eatman clan side on Eatman Farms as I grew up. And so I had kind of like rule of the roost, right? And so by the time my sister came along when I was like 7 years old, I kind of saw that the world was my oyster. And then all of a sudden there's this little girl that is born into the family, and she starts getting a lot of my attention that I was used to getting. And so I think as a 7-year-old, I just became really jealous, and it fed into the next like several years of my life and how I treated my sister and stuff. And so I will formally apologize to my sister for a lot of the mistreatment that she received growing up. But we fought a lot, and I know that's a common thing for siblings. Is there's usually a lot of bickering and stuff.
Mason and Carter and Harper, like, so I'm in the midst of all of that right now. So.
And now my daughter probably, she and I are more like siblings sometimes with the way that we fight with each other. But no, like, so there's definitely like that kind of infighting between siblings. I mean, it's a famous thing that everybody talks about and stuff, is just the bickering, right? Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a shorter story about some infighting between some siblings.
Okay.
And
the Hatfields and McCoys.
Oh man, wouldn't that be a good one to go into? We should tell that story at some point in time.
Yeah.
Just to recap it. But
Wasn't
no.
it over a pig or something like that?
What's that?
Wasn't it over like a pig or like a farm animals or something like that?
Well, it was a relationship between a boy and a girl that were from the two different sides. Yeah, it's a Romeo and Juliet to a degree. Is kind of like the big part of it, but there was a lot of stupid stuff that happened in the Hatfields and McCoys. But we'll tell that story sometime. That'd be an interesting one to kind of go through. But no, this one's actually like super recent.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, it happened on February the 18th. Well, No, I'll take that back. It didn't happen on February the 18th. It was reported on February the 18th of this year. And so it's pretty recent. There was a story that came out. Let me see if I can find the guy's name. About Sammy Sedom. It's Sedhom is his name, who's 21 years old, who got arrested. And the story behind why he got arrested is an interesting sibling rivalry kind of thing.
Okay, do tell.
So here's what happened. At a home in Long Island, New York, this says on Friday, so whatever the Friday before February the 18th, 2026 was.
Sure.
At 9:15 p.m., officers from the Nassau County Police Department responded to a 911 call.
Okay.
When they arrived, they found a 28-year-old woman in the garage of the house who was bleeding profusely from a cut on her face.
Okay, that tracks. Like,
so far everything's kind of normal, right? The girl who was bleeding, the woman, had just returned home from work that night and was attempting to close the garage door when all of a sudden she felt a sharp, searing pain as an arrow grazed across her cheek and stuck into the wall of the garage beside her.
Okay.
She immediately dialed 911 as she ran for her life, rightfully, right? So officers found the arrow lodged in the wall of the garage, examined the girl's face, and began to ask her questions about who attacked you, what happened, and stuff like that. As it would turn out, the attacker was Sammy, the young man that we mentioned before, 21 years old, who is the brother of this young woman who's now been attacked by a crossbow.
So he was 21 and she's 28?
21, 28, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's total younger sibling energy right there.
100%. So, in this incident, she arrived home. He, in a fit of anger, stormed out the door of the house, fired his crossbow at her head, like he was trying to kill her.
What?
It struck down the side of her cheek and ripped off a part of her ear as it went into the wall beside where she was closing the garage door at. Donnelly, who is if I remember correctly, is the district attorney. Yeah, Nassau County district attorney told the news team that's reporting this, the shooting was motivated by brother-sister rivalry over, and this is what makes it really funny, over the temperature in the house.
Okay, that's valid, though.
She said that the sister liked to keep it cooler in the house.
Okay, so she's right.
While the brother liked to keep it warmer in the house. And that this had been a tension between them that, whoever was there last, basically, like when the other one would leave the house.
She turned the thermostat down.
She would drop the temperature. If she left the house, he would bump it back up and stuff like that. But the house temperature has been like rising and falling depending on their moods and who's at home and stuff like that. And he had apparently come home to a cold house, gotten infuriated, and was waiting for her to come home so that he could murder her with a crossbow over the temperature in the house. To which I'm like, listen, I did some crazy things to my sister when we were young. Admittedly, I put her in a dryer and turned it on. She made it around one time before she kicked the door open, so it wasn't like she got cooked or anything.
Yeah.
And I did put her in the oven one time, but I couldn't reach the stuff to turn it on. So, so yeah. But never with the intention of actually killing my sister. More of this was just torturing her and stuff when we were young. And I was a kid. I didn't know. Now I look back on that with shame.
Yeah,
but,
it's ooh.
Yeah, it was bad. Again, I apologize, sis. Yeah, so this guy was trying to murder her, and the crazy thing is that his attorney told the news station when they contacted him that it was just a prank that went wrong, was how they were trying to cover this up. He said allegations that the siblings had been fighting about the temperature in their home were false.
Okay.
So that there haven't been any more develops because the court case has not happened for this one yet. But I'm going to try to keep tabs on it and see if I can find out
that is crazy.
If there's a court case and what happens as a result of it and stuff. But yeah, I was like, this was as I was just searching through weird news stories and stuff like that, I came across this one and I was like, that is wild.
Yeah.
This guy was waiting for his sister to come home with a loaded crossbow and fired a bolt.
So he was a little hot-tempered?
I guess you could say she really got his temperature up.
But that resulted in getting him into some hot water.
Yeah. Now he's in prison. He's going to have some time to cool off.
He just needs to take a step back and chill.
So yes, I was like, dude, I thought that my sister and I had some
crazy
stories, and we do because of me, but
yeah. Well,
man,
see, Mason and Carter especially don't necessarily pull pranks on one another. They'll just unfortunately, they've, like Sky to you, they've gotten my sense of sarcasm and mockery.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, and one will get just fed up, and then they'll just start punching the crap out of one another.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just one of those things.
And that's the typical sibling response, right? Is there's fighting that ensues into violence, and then the parents step in and tell them you guys are being idiots.
Yeah.
And it gets resolved, right? But the only thing I can imagine is that it's wild to me if these siblings were living in the house with their parents, which it doesn't say in the
right. That was going to be my other
read.
question. Was were they sharing, splitting a house, or?
That's what I would think is at 21 and 28. I would hope that this is the case of maybe she was more established at 28 and had her own house. At 21, he needed a place to live or something like that, or something went wrong, and so he moved in with her. But in which case you would say, okay, whoever's house it is,
right?
Or if both of them decided to rent a house together,
yeah,
then it's okay, I get it. You guys are siblings. You're going to fight and stuff like that, but come to an agreement of some sort. Figure it out. But yeah, I just thought it was like, what a crazy thing that over the temperature in the house, this dude fired a crossbow at her head. I mean, that's a narrow miss to hit the cheek and the ear. And you think about, you're 2 inches in and that's an eyeball, and that's
eyeball back
death.
of the brain. Yeah.
Right. So that's crazy stuff.
That is
but
crazy.
You have anything short you want to share with us before we wrap up today?
I was trying to. I've been meaning to ask you, and I keep seeing these signs around at like Meijer and Walmart. What is the deal with no discharging fireworks within 300 feet of these? Like I've been seeing these. There has to be a story or something behind.
I'm sure there's probably some story of like, yep, there's some person
but like that's the thing, like I saw it here at Wadsworth like, you know, a month ago, and I kept forgetting to mention it, but then I was at
you saw it where in Wadsworth?
It's at the Walmart. Like there's there's signs outside of Walmart that says no discharging of fireworks.
How oblivious I am. I've been there, but I haven't paid
but then I saw the same sign at Meijer in Worcester, so I was like, this has to be like more of a widespread thing, but I've seen like nothing.
That's crazy.
But just like, fireworks, not firearms, just fireworks.
That's crazy to me.
And maybe it does say firearms, but like I swear it said fireworks, and I'm like, what is going on?
I vaguely remember seeing a sign at one of the stores. Maybe it was the Walmart here, and I just wasn't like recalling it correctly. But I vaguely remember seeing one that said something about like no fireworks.
Yeah,
which is like. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like to think of what. So you're saying
you're setting off fireworks in the park.
There were people like, in the Walmart parking lot, just like
fireworks.
Yeah, boy, we're gonna celebrate 4th of July right now, and March.
Yeah, but it's like, but they've been up for like a couple of months. Like I want to say the first one I saw was like maybe around New Year's Eve.
Maybe it was like New Year's that somebody went out there and like.
But like, I mean, we used to hang out in the parking lot of Walmart all the time because, back in the glory days.
That's what you did in the old days, yeah.
Well, they were 24 hours, which shopping at Walmart at like 2 to 3 in the morning was the greatest because there wasn't many people in the Walmart, but the people in the Walmart were worth going to Walmart at 2 to 3 in the morning.
Did I ever tell you my story about getting kicked out of Walmart?
No.
You talk about being there like 2, 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. The night before the first day of school of senior year each year, all the seniors from all of the high schools in our area would do this like senior parade, and then this like with the senior parade, there were all kinds of activities and stuff that went on. So like your senior prank was done that morning and all that kind of stuff. And so for us, like, so the senior parade was that like there was Sunset Boulevard ran through Rocky Mount, North Carolina from the lake, which is on one end of it, and then you would go out towards Nash County on the opposite end of it. And it was kind of a big thing for the two rival schools. So Nash, Rocky Mount was on the Nash side of it, and Rocky Mount Senior High was on the opposite side. And it was a thing for the two rival schools to start at opposite ends. They would all drive with everybody in the back of pickup trucks and stuff. And as they crossed by each other, they would throw eggs. They would shoot water guns. Like, it was all kinds of stuff just to, like, the rivalry type of thing. And so that night, everybody would stay up all night long. And the schools would all, like, even our small private school, even though we weren't part of that big rivalry thing, we would do a cruise in, like, with all of our cars and stuff like that. We decorated shirts and made them. So for our class, we made ones that had FMI on the front of it. On the back of it, it said Faith Mental Institution, and then we had serial numbers that we put on there. So we like in bright orange shirts with black writing on it. So we looked like we were like mental patients, which was hilarious to us. But we we did a bunch of different stuff. As far as like we made those T-shirts, decorated our cars, we went out and decorated our spots and roped off the senior parking area of the parking lot. Did all of our pranks. So we forked the yard of the school, shaving cream on all the door handles. We did a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
and so we were kind of doing all of our stuff. Well, we all gathered at this one house to make all of our shirts and do those kinds of things that we were doing throughout the nighttime to get ready for the morning. And it got to be like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we ran out of spray paint for the shirts that we were doing, because we were just putting like stencils over top, spraying the things and moving on. But we ran out of spray paint, and so naturally, me and my buddy Sam, who are the two like redneck crazy guys in the school, and a couple of other guys, I forget who all went with us, we're like, well, we'll just go to Walmart and go get some more, right? And so we go to Walmart. Well, go figure my luck. The entire like side of Walmart that the spray paint and stuff was on was roped off and was being like scrubbed, like buffed and everything. And so they're like, the floors were like still wet and super slick. And Sam and I like walk in and we kind of survey the situation, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go get it anyways. So we duck under the tape after the guy goes down one of the aisles with the buffer. We go sprinting down to where the where all the spray paint is. When we round the corner to get the spray paint, we both lose our footing, and one of us takes out the other one. Both of us slam into the bottom shelves of where the spray paint is. And when I say that we sent spray paint cans rolling everywhere, I mean everywhere. So we, instead of being good kids, which we should have been, we just simply grabbed the cans of black spray paint that we needed and started sprinting back towards the front.
But doing like the cartoon one where you can't get your footing.
Yeah, there was like and we were slipping and still falling down and stuff like that. And it was absolutely hilarious. But as we like round the corner and stuff, they heard, obviously all the spray paint cans and stuff. And so as we round the corner, there's like Walmart employees just standing there waiting for us. And they're like, you guys are out. And we thought they just meant like, we're just kicking you out. So we handed the spray paint off to some friends of ours, to which they then denied them buying the spray paint, because they're like a bunch of teenagers, 16, 17-year-old teenagers at 3 o'clock in the morning buying spray paint. Yeah, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so they denied them the availability of buying it. But come to find out, they kicked us out of Walmart and banned us for like, I forget what it was, like weeks, that we weren't allowed to come back to that Walmart in Rocky Mount, which was like, I didn't need to go there necessarily, but it was very funny to us. Like, that was part of our like senior story, was that we
got kicked out of Walmart.
Yeah, got kicked out of Walmart and were banned from it for like knocking over all these spray paint cans and stuff.
Great.
So, yeah. Anyways, but the fireworks thing, it doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Because I think about all the time, like, there's a lot of those people that are either truck drivers or the RV people that will park in Walmart parking lots and like camp out there overnight.
Right.
And you got to think that some of those guys at some point in time get a little tipsy out there in their RV.
Right.
And then they're like, man, I'm going to go in there inside of Walmart, buy me some fireworks and set them off out here in the parking lot. And that's probably what started all of it, was some drunk redneck that was like, they're like, sir, you cannot.
Yeah. Sir, this is a Walmart.
It's like, what do you compare that to? Sir, this is a Walmart, not the Dollar General.
Yeah.
It's like, we know that we're not top like Target, but we're also not that low on the list. In a sense,
we're not Dollar Tree, okay?
We have some decorum around here, as the employee with the bright purple hair walks out to tell him that, So,
that's funny.
That's hilarious. But anyways, as we wrap up today, we just want to remind you guys the same things we always tell you, and we won't spend much time on today, but we have a Linktree account. So if you go and find, it's at the bottom of the description that you're, wherever you're listening to this right now, it's at the bottom of all of our posts that we put up and stuff, because we want you to be able to find all the places to listen, all the places to find our social media stuff, and there's good ways that you can help us out as far as interacting with those things.
All right, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Go
Click
ahead
the buttons, monkeys.
Yes, and set everything to auto download. It helps us out in the algorithm. Even if you don't listen to it right away, the downloads actually help us more than actual listens, because that lets the algorithm know that you're interested in the show and you want to have it and save it for later.
Yep. That's huge. So we would appreciate you guys if you could take the time to go ahead and interact with all that stuff. And otherwise, we will plan on seeing you guys back here for our next episode next week. It'll be episode number 15 for season 2, which is hard to believe that we're already there.
I know, right?
So, all right. We love you guys. We will see you soon.
Bye. This is the longest I've had a pair of over-ear headphones on in a long time.